When the Northern Pacific train pulled alongside the station platform, it released a massive cloud of smoky steam. He ran through it, dodging small groups of people, and nearly colliding with 2 Chinese men. The smoke from the train floated to a group of raggedy ponderosa pines standing at the end of the track. It stuck to the branches like the silky threads of a caterpillar nest before evaporating into the air. Searching every window for a glimpse of Sadie, he jogged back and forth on the platform until he spotted her. Then she. Him. His heart boomed in his ears. Sadie rushed to an open window and called out, "Here I am!" Rala lunged forward. "Welcome, darling!" She bent down to look through the open window. Nearly speechless, their eyes met with shining animation. He watched her move through the train to the exit. She hurried past her parents and several children, but stopped behind an elderly gentleman moving slowly. "Excuse me, may I pass?" Rala heard her say. The man ignored her plea. Sadie glanced back at Rala, bit her lip, and to his amazement, climbed over several benches and jumped into the aisle in front of the man.
"How unbecoming," said the old man.
Sadie was unfazed. Moments later, she appeared at the top of the car steps. Rala rushed to her as Sadie jumped into his arms. They squealed and twirled and kissed wildly. She smelled good, like mint and Castile soap, and looked more beautiful than he remembered all those months apart. "Hello, Mr. Jones," said Sadie, looking demure and glancing up at him with a coy expression that left him weak. "Hello, Miss Withers," he said, staring at her with an overabundance of zeal. When he spotted James and Harriet Withers stepping out of the train, he tugged her toward them. She held back in playful resistance. Oh, how Rala prized her playfulness. Grateful they had made the long, arduous journey on Sadie's behalf, Rala hugged them enthusiastically. James Withers spied the crowd of travelers and spoke from one side of his mouth.
"You're drawing a crowd."
Sadie threw a glazed expression at her mother.
"Really, boy, you must be more discreet," scolded Mr. Withers.
Mrs. Harriet elbowed her husband. "Oh, let them be. There was a time when we weren't so different." James Withers pulled on his coat lapels and tried to smile. Rala took one step back. "Good to see you, sir," then grabbed his hand and pumped it. "How was your trip?" James Withers chuckled.
"Well, no gang of train robbers came to pillage, I am happy to say. I am fairly certain we weren't carrying any loot."
Rala smiled. "Excellent." He turned to Mrs. Harriet. "Train travel appears to agree with you. Thank you for coming all this way." Mrs. Harriet let fly her honking laughter. "Thank you, dearest." She was a likable sort, all fired up to show them a bit of the town. He turned to Mr. Withers. "I'll see to your luggage."
"They'll be with the attendant,"
he said, pointing to a black man in a blue uniform arranging suitcases into neat groups. Rala hopped over to him. "The Withers family?" The attendant searched through groups of valises, his murky black eyes like bean soup. "Here they are." Rala tipped him and gathered up the 4 suitcases. "I'll be back for the trunks," he said, heading for the carriage parked in front. Sadie called out, "Do you need help?" Though the weight of the luggage pulled hard on his frame, Rala shook his head.
"You sure you can handle them?"
Mr. Withers called out.
"Yes, sir."
Rala was so elated he felt he could have carried the whole train on his back. He hoisted one suitcase up to Jared. "2 trunks to come," said Rala. Jared handed it back. "The trunks go up first. After that, whatever doesn't fit, I'll put in the boot." "Right," said Rala, setting the cases down and bounding off for the trunks. He nearly yanked his shoulder from its socket trying to pull the first steamer trunk. The attendant noticed and rushed to pick up the other end. Rala smiled with relief. James Withers stepped in, stuffed a bill in the attendant's vest pocket.
"I'm afraid even you'll need help with these."
Together, Jared and Rala hoisted the first trunk onto the wrought iron roof rack. By the time the luggage was loaded, the station had cleared out. Sweat beaded up on Rala's forehead and ran down the sides of his face. Sadie and her parents ambled toward the carriage, admiring the station's western charm.